Oh no, I'll start the
Okay.
recording. I normally do a recording and then I transcribe it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we're short then because we're
I
missing both
no,
Simon and Andrew.
no. We have quorum and Simon has just joined. Hi, Simon. So I'll
Hey,
just
Simon.
give an update. Hi, I am I last week was really stressful because of my visa issues. I finally got an RFE, request for evidence. We have to file before July 26th. I am leaving tonight for London and hope to see Simon on the weekend. It's going to be 5 weeks away from the US and very hectic schedule. So, London, Seoul, Women Deliver in Melbourne, Australia, then taking a break with my sister, and then on the way back, stopping in Singapore for a couple of days, checking in to see my parents in Mumbai and Goa. And then I'm going to WHO in Geneva before heading back to DC. So I'll share more about the details of the RFE later, but I'm out of here tonight. So I'm happy about that. Okay, I'm going to pass it to Lauren.
Okay. So I am in France. Simon, it was very quick in the UK, and we were in these meetings from 8:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night at Cambridge. So not a spare second. But it was great. It was the Cambridge Disinformation Summit, and there was people from all over the world. Both worthwhile, big learning experience, but also disturbing when you consider the security efforts they had to put in place because of some of the people involved and being targeted. So it was great. So that's over. I'm now driving through Brittany in France and on my way to my next destination. And I will be in France until May 1st. Then I'm going to Geneva. Elsa, we have to see dates. I just added that for a 3-day weekend, then back to Paris. And I will fly home on Tuesday, the 5th or 6th, whatever that day is. But other than that, that's my news.
Sally, do
How
you want?
about oh yeah, go ahead, Sally.
Hi, everyone. I'm driving to New York City. Our company is co-hosting a youth development summit with other nonprofits in New York City to help drive the mayor's agenda for out-of-school time support. So excited to see a bunch of my team members because we're all remote. We rarely get to see one another. So Elsa, I'll be with both Kim and Tim, and
Say
I'll
hi to
pass
them.
it to Jenny. I will.
Nice.
All right, nothing exciting for me. Just at home working on tax returns that are due in 2 days. So that's it here on holding down the home front.
It's a busy time for you.
Yeah.
Sure is. So thanks for being here in the middle of busy season.
I will pass it to Simon.
Good afternoon. Check in. What's happening? So I'm in London this week, which is nice because I was in Detroit last week and Las Vegas the week before. Things are all pretty good in the world of finance and software. Nobody knows what anybody's going to be doing. The world of financial economy could blow up at any point in time with the amount of debt that's in the or bad debt that's in the private capital markets, which is always a worry. And AI is replacing all of us. So who knows what's happening? But I'm happy to be here today.
I don't think AI can replace all of us, but yeah. Oh, by the way, I started an AI company with my brother. It's called Murmur AI
I spotted
and
it. Yeah.
based in Singapore. And so my brother is a technologist and he's taken a break from his career. He'd been doing a lot of trading and finance, and he had created all these bots for his trading platform. And now he's trying to patent it and pitch to the Singapore government to get a license. So that is one aspect of his business. But he asked me, because I'd been brainstorming with him on ideas for AI and agentic AI for Red Dot Foundation. And he said, "Oh, these are so cool and easy to do. And do you think others might be interested as well?" So on the Easter weekend, we created a couple of things, including our new website, which my team has been dilly-dallying to make it live. But it's looking beautiful and saved us $5,000 because the data duck was going to charge us $5,000 to make a website. And here I think we have a better website, in my opinion. Um, we are working on an HR bot, and we've identified certain other areas for bots. So, and then we can open it up to other nonprofits and SMEs who want to do it. So it's exciting. I don't think it's going to replace us, but I do think it'll give us more time back. And I'm excited about that. Anyway, so I sent you the
Awesome.
financials. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
Sorry, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, I thought you were saying something.
No.
So, yeah, I sent you the financials. We have 100x coming in. At this point, we can cover costs for the next 1 year, but I'm working on having a couple of fundraisers. On Saturday at Catherine's mom's place, we had a salon conversation, and somebody has promised to give me a donation through her DAF. I don't know what's the amount, but the good thing is two of them who worked with Meta, TikTok, and other tech companies, they are going to help me put a fundraiser in October in San Francisco and get me in front of people who have money to donate. And then Daniela Legero, and there's another person in the DC area who've also said that they will host similar gatherings at their homes when I come back in May and in June. So I am feeling positive about that. The second idea I have for raising money is the Data and Research Fellowship for young people. And the idea came from our recent success with Catherine's boys. Nicholas, who is a senior and has been writing his SATs and then submitting his college applications, he's been working with Jillian, for example, and he got into Tufts, St. Andrews, Georgetown, and is on the wait list for Brown. So he has a problem of plenty. And so I was thinking we are definitely doing something right because all the kids who intern and volunteer with us and write us into their applications always get into all the major colleges, Harvard, INSEAD, and others. So I said, why not turn it into a revenue stream? We have the curriculum from our Global Data Challenge. We just need to, um, uh, you know, market it as a structured program. I've been talking to several mothers and other people, including Catherine, and we can actually charge anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000. So we are going to start with a small batch of 10 people and 10 young kids. This summer, and hopefully we can raise some money through that as well because it's not a heavy lift for us, but if we get it right and if there's appetite, we can run several of those. It's not a big deal. So that's another income stream that I was thinking of in addition to fundraising. Okay.
Hey, Elsa, we jumped into, and I got cut out and had to come back in. We jumped into the financials without going over the board minutes and admitting them from the last meeting.
Okay. So you have the previous board meetings. Any changes, confirmations on that?
Did you send it through on email? Because I have to admit I didn't read it, but I will read it now.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
in the email she sent to us with the agenda assignment, which
But
was
I will
2 weeks ago.
Oh, I'd have been traveling then, so I would have explained why I wouldn't have read it, but I will read it by the end of the day today. Or in fact, I will go through it now while we're on the call.
I can quickly put it up as well.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. I'll be all right. I read these things quick.
Okay. Um,
All right.
I think from the previous
Agenda.
board meeting, we did ask for financial decision thresholds and contracting controls, which I think Lauren, you and Andrea were supposed to work on.
Yes. And I have to toggle back and forth. Sorry, I can only keep one thing open at a time on the phone while the computer is up there too. So let me go back and look at that.
Let me put the action items up because there were quite a few action items.
Yep.
So there's the fiscal sponsorship. We did not go through that, but I mean, the fiscal sponsorship, we decided not to go ahead with. Um,
Right. Yeah, we talked about that at some length.
yeah. And the legal review pathway for fiscal sponsorship, I have a pending meeting with Thomson Reuters. The governance memo, that is the one. The board versus advisory roles, voting conflict, IRS disclosure. So that is something that is pending. Because these two women who are planning the San Francisco fundraiser, I'm inviting them to be on the advisory council and they will specifically focus on tech. There's another lady in San Francisco, Kira Murphy, who is from the 100X Accelerator cohort. And I brought her in because she has a lot of experience working in India with young girls, and she has also raised money for those kind of projects. So,
Okay, so
it,
else,
yeah,
go ahead.
so it would be great to have your thoughts on this governance memo and, what are the conflicts of interest because it just helps me in my day-to-day functioning.
Yep, I'll do that. I heard nothing from Andrea, but then again, I also can reach out to her. So I will reach out to her. Hopefully she gets on the meeting today. And we'll look at getting something done when I'm back. I'm not going to work on it while I'm away.
Okay. Um, Catherine, she's going to join us in half an hour or whenever she's on standby. Um, we've already addressed the in-kind accommodation. Policy acknowledgements, everyone sent that, so that's fine. HR policy review. Um, I will recirculate the policy and then y'all can share your thoughts. And then the financial authority thresholds and contracting controls. So that is something that Jenny, Lauren, and Andrea have to work on.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that's it. So still there's a lot pending. So we'll work on that.
So do we want to accept them tentatively or do we want to defer and just do it online after Simon also has a chance to look through it?
And I've had a quick look through, and there's nothing there that I don't disagree with because I think I was in the last board meeting, so it all seems
Okay.
familiar.
Okay. All right, then I will ask somebody to make a motion that we accept the minutes as they are.
I move to accept the minutes.
Thanks, Sally. Second.
I second.
Um, Here.
Sorry, Lauren, I can't hear you.
Uh, all in favor
All in favor?
Aye.
of the motion? Aye. Okay. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay. All right, so the motion is passed. The minutes are in. Okay. All right, Elsa, were you finished with your financial and incoming revenue or
Yeah,
not?
I mean, I just wanted to say that incoming revenue is we have 100x, which is almost 100,000 or a little over 100,000. State Department money has to come in, part of it. Together for Girls is coming in as well. And then fundraising, I gave you the updates. So, any questions on this part? Just FYI, the budget for this year, I'm trying to raise 500,000, of which I have raised about 150,000. So I still have a shortfall of 350.
Okay.
Should
Are
we?
you concerned about that, Elsa?
I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned, but I need all the help I can get. And we are at the start of this year, so um, yeah, I'm confident. At 100x, I have four funders that we are pitching to: Elevate Prize, Empower, um, Dovetail, Impact, and Ripple Works.
What
So
what
those are
about
the
the
four.
one, I'm sorry, what about the one that I submitted a recommendation for you on that award, which was for you personally, but would reflect back on the organization? Have you heard anything?
Malago?
I don't
Don't
remember.
remember
You
which because
asked
I
me
apply
to a
for a
bunch of
ton of
different,
things. Yeah, no, I apply for a ton of things, so I don't remember which one, but we did get through to Malago at the very last end, and then we didn't get through. They are one of the funders coming to 100x, but they are not with us. Um, so I don't know. I'm just going to have a chat with them and find out. They say to even get to the finalists is an achievement, but I want to know like what would make me get through the finish line. McNulty, which has been a past donor, has invited me for an event at school. Um, and honestly, they are very hard to meet in New York. The only times I met them was at school. So, again, McNulty Prize is what I was being vetted for, but I was told that the first time they don't give you the prize, they give you a grant, they see how you perform, and then they consider you in a future date for the prize. So it's a good thing that they invited me for this event. I'm hoping that they renew their grant if at all, if at the least, you know. But if they give me the prize, then that's it. Like they do a lot of visibility and stuff around that. So let's see. I feel confident. I don't feel like um, I feel with 100x, with everything that's going on with us, there's a lot of opportunity. It's just that we have to just keep moving.
But Elsa, to
okay.
Lauren's point, that's not the other 350K is not necessary to make budget this year, correct?
No, we cover the costs this year.
Okay, great. So it's gravy. So even better.
Yeah,
Okay.
and not just gravy, then it gives me the room to hire more experienced, mature people. So right now I have Holly Curl, who's joined as Director Advocacy and Campaigns. For 20 hours, we are paying her 1,500, but we could definitely increase that. She's really good. And she also needs the job because she has a very sick child, and I would like to support that. Jillian is doing great at the UN, and we just increased her remuneration to 2,500. For many years, she was stuck at 1,500, but I think she's done a fabulous job. The tech person in Boston, she's at 1,000, but at some point, we'll have to increase her as well because in the US, 1,000 is nothing. and the rest are out of India. We've increased their salaries in India, so that's not an issue. But I think overall, we should have more people so that I don't have to do the grunt work and they can, and the work is actually increasing. The more I hire, the more people end up doing. So it's a chicken and egg situation, to be honest.
What's this tech person in Boston doing?
She's the tech manager. She writes the data, the input reports of all the data dashboards. She liaises between the. So we have three people on the tech team, in-house. So one is based in Chennai. She's Jaya. She only does the data cleanup and the various data uh, generating the data dashboards, most of which we are trying to now automate. So I don't know if we will still need her, but I always feel comfortable there's a human in case the tech fails and vice versa. Ravi is actually the techie on the team. He's based in Pune. So, for example, even if we have AI develop the website, you still have to have a human to do the final bit. It won't put itself on the domain and run itself. So he does all those little other stuff. But also he's been implementing the CRM, the HRM, the various other tech things, make sure that our websites are always up and running. When the cloud provider has some updates, he makes sure that it doesn't have an adverse effect on our tech, because sometimes you need to go in and run some applications to make sure that it all renders well on the front end. And then Akansha manages the two of them, is the liaison between the data duck, who's our tech provider for the app, and the rest of the team. So for example, she writes wonderful reports. Again, we are trying to see if we can automate that with AI, but there'll always have to be a human who translates those data insights into actionable inputs for the ground teams. And the police have been actually very appreciative of our reports. So it's been useful. So that's what the three of them do.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize we had somebody in Boston. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Should we go on to your activities, events, updates, and then the indie updates, and then we can finish with governance?
Yeah. So activities. So we just came off a very heavy period because we had March being Women's Month. And in New York, for example, we had CSW. We did 5 events, four in person and one online. So it was really hectic, but all good hectic because we reconnected with a lot of partners. We had wonderful people in the room. So a lot of visibility and potential collaboration, but also put us front and center with key organizations. So, for example, one of the events we did was around the feminist foreign policy. There's a ministerial coming up in Spain in June. I won't be attending it, but we'll definitely be in the loop and we will contribute to the inputs for those meetings. So it just is great to be part of it. But around that, we are now hosting pre-meeting in Mumbai with young girls in partnership with the Consulate of Spain in Mumbai, and we got the clearance from the embassy to the UN. So that's just how these things work, it's like all feeding into each other. And those 5 events were on what we did, but Jillian also did several as part of her executive position on the various NGO committees. Our Freedom 250 events continue. It's been very challenging working with the US consulate. I think they don't know what they want, and then everything changes all the time. So it's been really stressful, but we continue to stay positive with them because we realize this is a small blip, and when it passes, we want to continue to have great relations with them, which is how we got into this Freedom 250 loop in the first place. 100X is coming to an end this month, but I feel really confident that this is a great program, the ecosystem is great, and that they will continue to support us with opportunities and resources. So I'm super excited about concluding the program. And then, as I said, this week is spent in London with 100X and preparing for the pitches. On Monday, we have the pitches with 4 funders. It's a speed session. And then from Tuesday onwards next week is the Skoll World Forum. I'm not in the big tent, but on the sidelines, there's enough and more to keep you occupied. And again, it's a great place to meet funders and other, ecosystem partners. In fact, 100X was an outcome from last year's Skoll. So I think it's a place that I have prioritized to be in. It's not cheap to be in Skoll because the accommodation is very expensive in Oxford, but at least the travel this year was covered by 100X. Women Deliver is another big gathering of women's rights organizations. It's held every 3 years. I've never been to it, but we have an event over there, and I'm going to do a lecture with Olga from the Center for Protecting Women Online at RMIT. And then we are preparing an event for the UN STI Forum, again with Colleen from Vinyl to actually demonstrate how AI can be used for campaign methodology. I think it's going to be an exciting hands-on event virtually. So we want to stand out in the way we create our events and workshops. So I think that is great. I've already spoken about the FFP ministerial in June. I already shared the data and research fellowship that we are planning for the summer for young people. Um, I think, yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of this because they have to do a capstone project, and the capstone project can be either a community project in their own neighborhoods, or a research paper, or a social media campaign. And then we have this regional meeting in the Philippines in August with 2-0, that is to end childhood sexual violence. I think they've run into some financial difficulties, maybe because of this Iran war or something like that. So they've told us to pause right now, but they'll let us know in a month whether it's on or not. But we were planning this for August. And then UK Security Women, this project is turning out to be really another important area that we can focus and deep dive in. I'm meeting them this Saturday in London. But during the salon conversation yesterday, on Saturday, last week, one of the women said that she might have funding for research on workplaces for women police officers. So I thought that was interesting. So we can deep dive into this specific area, and it's totally in line with what we are doing. And I think we are getting more expertise in the area of policing, so, and gender sensitive policing. So I think that's an interesting development from our projects last year.
One quick question, Elsa. The tweet chat thing that we did last month, did you get feedback on that? Do you have a sense of what the participation was like?
Yeah, we had about 100 people join in during the session and post the session because the recordings are always there. Yeah, the feedback has been great. In fact, we ran out of time. We had a lot of technical issues that day for some reason. Twitter was down in India, but not in Europe and US. I think briefly in the US also it was down. But yeah, the feedback has been we need more conversations like that.
What happened to the third person who was supposed to be in that? We didn't
She's from
show.
Northeast India and the Twitter thing was down. So, I don't think the priority sometimes is to get it up in other areas.
But
I don't
she's
know
okay
how
though.
these
I mean,
things, I don't know how these things work, but I suspect that if it goes down, they try to bring it up first in the big cities and then elsewhere. I don't know. But
should
Northeast
you,
was like very remote, so she had trouble joining in.
so maybe I think I mentioned this at the time, but maybe you guys want to consider what other platforms are out there, given the erratic nature of that.
So we are looking at Substack, and Substack has this live stream platform, so
Hmm.
um, we might use that. But at this point, Lauren, we are drowning in work, so it's not a priority at the moment.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Um, I think also Insta Lives work well, but Insta Lives will not work for the format that we have for X Spaces. Yesterday I did, so this week is the anti-street harassment week. I did a kickoff with Holly yesterday on Insta Live. It was very well received. However, it's just she and me talking. I don't think you can have like more than, two people. Maybe you can, I don't know. Um, But also, Raja's feedback was X Spaces is audio, and she was super comfortable with that. She had not done it before, but she was then going to use this X Space as a way to um, have conversations about her work on Syria with her community, simply because your face is not seen and it's just your voice. Okay, so India updates, the police have renewed the contract in Haryana. So just to give you context, last December, the Director General of Police got sacked for some other reasons, or he got suspended, and there's now a new DGP. So in the meantime, they told us to pause our work. And that was, getting really stressful because they are our major project at this point, and also the most prestigious one at this point. But Supreet had a meeting with the assistant DGP. So the DGP is totally anti nonprofits, also does not believe in data and crowdsourced data, but his deputy, the one we met, is very data driven, he used to run the police academy, and when he saw what we presented, he was very impressed, and they paid our bills and they have said continue the work, and they also said why did you pause. So it's confusing working with government, but I think we are learning as we go. And then with the Goa police, we are doing informal work, as in they are not paying us, but it has a more mental health aspect. So they found so many excuses to not work with us in the way that we are working with Haryana police. But the angle that the team has taken is, we understand that the police are under severe stress, mental stress, and how can we help and how can we be your partner with the community? And that has increased their trust with us. So now, when they have any major cases of assault, apparently they call our team up and say what are the resources available. So we are like the conduit. So now we are trying to see how to make them pay for it. And then I've already spoken about UK security. I've not spoken about the project, but we have to interview about 100 people. I think we've covered 75 different types of police. So railway police, traffic police, women police stations, but also in the regular police stations, judges, lawyers, anyone to do with the system. And it's going to be interesting to see what's the outcome. But so far, people have been absolutely willing, enthusiastic about sharing their experiences. The Amplify Change project has started. That's in Maharashtra and Goa, and that is
And
also
just on that, what's the outcome expected to be, or what
so
what are you aiming to for this
yeah. So
exercise?
the thing is understanding what is the conditions at their workplace and how can we help improve it. So identifying what are the gaps. So for example, in India, we have the law on prevention of sexual harassment of women at the workplace. Do the police women themselves know the law and do they themselves have their own committees and stuff like that? And what is it that we can help them do better? So, right now, it's just understanding what is there, what is not there. Do they feel like they can go on maternity leave and come back and get a promotion? Things like that. Um, what is the workplace culture like? So, yeah, so it's a bunch of questions around workplace and the quality and conditions of the workplace. And this is a pilot
So,
with Security Women
I think
UK.
Lauren's got a hand up.
Yeah, it's a pilot with these people, this group, and they want to raise more funds for a bigger project around it.
Okay.
And I'm meeting them this Saturday
so
in London to understand where they want to take this further. Yes,
Okay.
Lauren?
what is being done to identify what's already in place? Because most jurisdictions have something in place, it's just not being enforced and adhered to. So, what steps before in India we go ask these questions have been taken to understand what they already have in place in terms of procedures, processes, or rules?
So we know what the laws are. It's just mapping to see whether it's actually being implemented. And so, for example, um, under the Police Act, you have to have certain things, right? But is it in reality being followed? And that is really the gap that is being identified so that you can then come back and say and in India, for example, every state is its own jurisdiction for police. So it's not like it's at the federal level. So every state is different, every state does their own thing. So how can we help them improve their maybe their trainings and internal policies?
It'll be more than laws, I promise you. Because in the United States, and it's different also with tons of jurisdictions, there's the law, and then there's internal guidelines and processes and procedures that are typically written down somewhere that are supposed to be followed step by step, separate from the law. So the thing that's important to understand is what of that is in place, if any of it, in these jurisdictions you're going to talk to. You want to know that ahead of time. And hopefully one of the contacts you have can say to you, okay, we have this in place. So you don't go in and you should have that knowledge ahead of time is my point. So you're not asking them for things that you should know.
Yeah, maybe they've already done that. I don't know the exact details of all the things that they are doing under the project, but it's being led by Webby, who's a lawyer and on our team. And I can ask her these questions and see whether I'm pretty much sure that they have already done the desk research for all of that. But yeah, I'll still confirm with her. Okay, and then, yeah, I mean, we continue to work with youth safety champions. Just to give you an idea of how many safety champions we trained last year, was about close to 4,000. And you know how many volunteer hours we did last year? I mean, people did for us last year, 27,000 volunteer hours. And that is what
Awesome.
is documented. Yeah. Okay, so governance. Can we go to governance? And then I can tell Catherine to be
Yep.
ready. So my
Yep.
H1B, we got an RFE, request for evidence. According to the paperwork, they came back with three things. One is Andrea the right person to um, sign my documentation? Being a volunteer. So I told Rishi, the lawyer, that she is part of the board, and I don't have a boss. So clearly, the board is my governance uh, body. And we can probably give her a letter saying on behalf of the board, she's signing it. So let him come back to me on that one. The second one and the third one is about so we are a CAP exempt organization, Red Dot Foundation Global, and um, in order to be CAP exempt for an H-1B, you have to prove that you do research. But we can submit all the research articles that we have published and produced, plus our data dashboards for the police and other authorities. And the third one is the nature of the job itself. Like, what is so unique about my job that I need an H-1B? So I think he's going to work on that at the moment, and he'll ask me if, if we have to give him anything further. But I don't see this, and he didn't seem like it was a major issue. And yeah, I think it's fine. So, and if it doesn't, my next option is to move base to London. Simon, I'll see you more often.
Hmm.
Okay, the next one is Resilia. Resilia is a platform that we have access to because we won the .org awards. And I had some coaching sessions with this lady on, board management and governance and stuff like that. And interestingly, under US law, you can be the founder of the nonprofit, but you're not the owner of the nonprofit. The board is the owner. And therefore, whoever's on the board at that time is basically the owner of the nonprofit or owner of the mission of the nonprofit. And so I was asking her about the board terms and stuff like that. So she has offered to do a session with all of us to help us understand our board responsibilities and what does it mean to be a board member and how should we be thinking about board governance and terms and stuff like that. So if you're interested, I can organize that session and it can be in May or June. So let me know if there's interest. I think we should do it. And I also feel that this will help us also put in place, measures for term limits, if we want to have term limits, or how do we also phase out board members who've done several terms and still keep them engaged? How do you onboard new members, etc.? So that is something that is open. And that is linked to renewal of terms because I was talking to Lauren, and Lauren also was of the opinion that, those who have been there for a very long time might want to, take a break. And but you can still be involved in an emeritus status. So it's just creating pathways for that. Um, and then I asked this lady from Resilia, what about me? Like, what if, like, I know Elise, for example, Elise Nelson from Vital Voices has been there for 25 years on the board. And yeah, it feels like it's too long. But at this point in time, I can't see myself not being on the board. So what happens to somebody like me? Is there like a special term limit? And she was just laughing. And she was like, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be around for so long? And I'm like, I don't want to be operationally around, but I do want to be on the board to steward this organization. So it's quite complicated in my view, and I really want to do what's best for the organization and the mission, but I think also for myself. So just in terms of transparency. So that's it. And then Momo AI I've already shared with you.
Did you hear from Andrea?
Not yet.
50 minutes in. Okay.
Maybe she has class or something. Okay, so shall I call Catherine, or is there anything that you want to discuss in the
Before
meantime?
we do that, has everybody had an opportunity to look through what Elsa shared about Catherine's background, her CV, her interest in joining the board. Has everybody had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
Yeah, I've read her CV. I
Okay.
guess the seeing the CV is one thing. Understanding the rationale of how we arrived at her being here would be a helpful bit of pretext on that one.
Let me just say why I think she's great. So I feel one is she has a legal background, and her legal background also spans gender-based violence. I also feel she's a risk management expert. So, for us, as we grow and scale, that is, and the geopolitics around nonprofits is constantly changing. So, I think having somebody who has a risk management perspective really helps. Thirdly, she's based in DC. So if we need anything done, for example, Sally does all our board governance, manages our accounts. Right now we have Andrea, but maybe Andrea is overwhelmed and may need a break. I don't know. At some point, she has also been one of the longest serving. Who is the alternative in DC, in the DC area, who can be the second person on the bank account with Sally, because during the pandemic, I realized we only had Suzanne. And to be very honest, it made me so nervous that what if something happened to Suzanne, then where is the continuity of the account, like the business thing. So anyway, I think and like for example, once a year we have to renew with the DC people. Sometimes you need to call. If I'm not in the country, it just becomes so complicated. So on many fronts, both practical and expertise wise, I think having Catherine on the board is useful.
So to be clear, though, her risk management it is a very specific area because she was not just for everybody else. She was not operational in the FBI. She's got an enormously strong background, but not on the operational side, strictly from the legal and compliance side. So I just think that's an important thing just to be aware of. It takes nothing away from her, but it's an important thing to understand. What about?
Well,
I know she's doing some of this now. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sally.
sorry, guys. I would just also add that she's got a personal interest. She's really invested her time and effort in supporting Elsa in terms of, Elsa's where Elsa stays. Her son is the one who is part of, supporting Jillian and doing work and would really be someone who could help us really get that idea of maybe some not paid, well, revenue stream related to internships coming in too. So I think that's also reasons I think we should accept her.
Okay. Anybody else want to weigh in? And I don't know if anybody else does, but I have questions already teed up to ask Catherine.
Okay, so she's on standby. So let me know when you want me to call her.
Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to bring up in the group before Catherine comes in?
I'm good.
I'd like to raise that, we did this over email a couple of weeks ago, about, at some point we need to be a little bit more standardized around board give or get and some minimums there. I think in terms of just nonprofits in general, just to be able to say that there is 100% giving, and giving can be at any level. I just don't know if there's been any expectation set with Catherine, which, she just hosted this great event that happened this weekend. So clearly she's in that mindset already, but just raising that because that was some back and forth on email that not necessarily taken in our official notes.
And then she also gives me free accommodation, which is valued as per Jenny's calculations at 18,000 per annum. So, um, would that also count?
It counts, but I think what we have to move forward and start working on is ensuring that there is a threshold that is the same for everyone, whether it is a give or a get. I think we're totally flexible there, but and Jenny, maybe you can weigh in, but I think when you look at nonprofits across the United States, every nonprofit that I've been involved with, there has been a requirement for that, and it is documented. And that's something we don't have right now for us. So that's something we need to think about again from a governance standpoint, is we really should be talking about it. What is it going to look like?
And maybe
Yeah.
we
So,
don't have all the
yeah.
answers right now. I don't know.
And that's fine. It's just that we have to have that conversation. I know I brought it up a couple of years ago, and at the time, Elsa, you felt that you didn't want to ask people to do that. But I think it's important that where we are now with the maturity of the organization, potentially new members on the board, potentially transition, I think this is something else that we've got to decide on as a board and document it and adhere to it. Even if it's a low threshold, doesn't matter to me. I'm not saying it's got to be at a certain level. I'm just saying it has to exist from a governance standpoint.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else before we bring Catherine on? Okay. I see silence. So Elsa, go for it. Let's pop her in.
Okay.
Elsa, are you literally in her basement right now?
And she's upstairs in her office, I think. Hi. Okay. But we had during the salon conversation, I didn't want only me to be talking. So I had Andrew speak about his tech and data volunteer experience. He was so cute. He was like, I read all those stories, and as a white young boy in DC, I couldn't even relate to all these, what these girls were going through, and that just fixing a light post might help. I wanted to literally cry because he shared so much, and I didn't even know that he was doing so much. And then Nicholas, he shared about his UN experience and how he got to do a 2-minute speech at the UN, and how that crowd was not as intimidating as the UN crowd. So, yeah, so I really feel that we do something good with youth, with young people. Yeah. Hi, Catherine. I was just telling them about our salon and how Andrew and Nicholas spoke so well and made me want to cry.
Oh, that's very sweet. Well, they're very grateful to you for the opportunity, as you know.
Yeah, thank you. So, welcome,
Catherine.
Catherine. And yeah, thank you for expressing your interest in joining the board. And yeah, you met everybody in the past. So, yeah, over to you, Lauren.
Hello.
So, Catherine, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing what you did. And thanks for hosting Saturday and being so interested. I know you and Elsa have a relationship going back to when you were both International Women's Forum fellows together,
Yes.
which is something we all share. So I'll kick it off first. I just had a couple questions. If anybody else jumps in, they can. And I hope I don't lose my power here. Because we're looking at that. Hang on 1 second. Let me see if I can start the car and get some power going. Bear with me, guys. Hopefully this is okay. All right. Wipers off and somewhere gray. Okay. So here's the first question I have. If you were to join the board, where do you think you could add the most immediate value in the first year?
So, in discussing this topic with Elsa, um, I believe that one of the areas where I could provide immediate support would be in internal risk assessment throughout the organization. So it would be, I think, really interesting and exciting for me to learn more about the structure of the organization, the precise manner in which the work is done and how the different lines of business are managed, and then to work with the individual managers to identify any internal risks that may exist within their particular parts of the program.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to jump in? Not all at once, guys. All right, I'll jump in another one. Okay, so you've spent most of your career at the FBI focused obviously on oversight, compliance, and institutional integrity. I mean, that's exactly where you sat. So,
Yes.
what draws you, and it's kind of building on what you just said, but how do you see that experience translating into what your impact could be in an NGO like Red Dot?
Well, I think that there are a lot of things that translate directly from the government sector to NGOs, primarily because the government has a mission that's most often not a mission to create revenue, to make money, and it's similar with NGOs. The mission is something that is not a profit-driven mission, and so both government and NGOs share that their resources are meant to be used ethically, responsibly, with good stewardship, but not for the creation of additional, revenue. It's meant to carry out the mission. So there's a lot of similarities there. A lot of the tools that you find for compliance and even ethics in the private sector are really focused on things that have to do with sales and profits and conflicts that arise in that context, and it's just not relevant. So I've spent a great deal of time translating some of the best tools in the compliance sector over to government, and I think a lot of that translation work would apply equally to an NGO.
What draws you to Red Dot, Catherine,
Oh
apart
my
from me
goodness.
being awesome?
Well, obviously, it's something I found out about through you, but I think Red Dot is such a fascinating. Um, well, yesterday or on Saturday they used the word intersection a lot of data and technology and such an important mission, but it really is applied in a new way and it's so scalable. It's a solution that can apply in so many different places, but as you described, has to be applied uniquely to the particular cultural context of each location. So that provides a sort of an overarching um, theme and thread for each country in which you operate, but also makes it particularly interesting to ensure that the application is workable and um, respectful of each individual location where it's being applied. And I just think it's a great idea to be doing that. And I've obviously I have heard you talk about your mission. I think that having a mission that is bold and being wanting to positively impact the lives of 1 billion people by 2030, that to me is it's a bold statement. And I believe in making bold statements and then rising to the occasion. So I really like that about Red Dot.
Simon.
Great to meet Catherine. I don't think we have met before, have we?
No, I'm not sure. I was on one meeting and I am not sure if you were on that. I was in the advisory meeting.
Maybe I was. I don't recall, but anyway, great to meet. I'd be interested So safe city to me is all about impact. It's about what can we positively facilitate within the world um, to bring change. What would you see as a good outcome of your tenure at this NGO?
Oh, goodness. Well, of course, to provide guidance and insight on how to meet the mission, but in particular, given my wheelhouse of ethics and compliance, I believe that an organization such as Red Dot, especially as it's expanding, does need to ensure that its reputation and credibility are um, absolutely stellar at all times. And as one expands, it can be challenging to ensure that things such as potential conflicts or ethical issues that may arise are addressed proactively, that training is for everyone involved. Is at the highest level that you all can obtain given the resources that you have. And so I would envision that one of the ways in which I could help Red Dot accomplish its mission is to help ensure that Red Dot maintains uh, its credibility and reputation with every entity that it deals with. You all are dealing with police departments, you're dealing with embassies, and so I think I could help in that way. It would be one of the ways. I would love to find out more ways I could help.
And just FYI, Catherine on her own time is also going back to nursing. Not going back, she's studying to have a nursing degree. And one of the things she wishes to do in the future is join Nurses Without Borders or Doctors Without Borders as a registered nurse. And I think that also is very interesting about Catherine that, while she's a lawyer, I think she has so many paths to her. She's so grounded in her community. In her church, she works with Afghan refugees, for example. And I've been part of their Friendsgiving for several years now. And they have a very close relationship with several of the Afghan families, not only brought them to America, but also got them integrated into the community. Nicholas is tutoring some of the kids. So, yeah, I think what I appreciate, Catherine, is that you're very much grounded in your community whilst also having these various areas of expertise. And she's
Yeah, I
learning
definitely.
Arabic, which is not an easy language to learn at this age, to
Yeah.
be
I
honest.
I definitely believe in sort of direct action, being hands-on in service, and that is why I'm doing my prerequisites right now to be able to get a degree in nursing. I believe in being sort of in a frontline capacity, serving as well as as an attorney. It's been wonderful that I've been able to help an organization like the FBI, for example. But I also like to be hands-on and to participate directly in service myself. So being on the board of Red Dot would, I would hope, provide opportunities for me as well as to attend board meetings and advise and do all those sorts of lawyerly things to also be able to participate in some capacity and get out there and meet people and find out how the mission is being conducted on the ground to be more helpful as a board member, to be more knowledgeable and really see what's happening in action.
Cool.
Thanks, Catherine. Anyway, Simon, go ahead.
No, I mean, I just think it's interesting that Catherine is running multiple lines of supporting various different areas. I think it's a good thing to be doing. Some people say you've got to give it away to get it. That makes sense.
Hmm.
I have found that the more I give to various organizations, the more I get back in countless ways.
I agree.
With the Afghan families, it's been wonderful. Just being around young people, first of all, I think is hugely rewarding and inspiring, and keeps me, with a sense of optimism about what I can do and how I can impact the world. I like being, with young people who have who haven't become jaded or cynical sometimes about what they can accomplish. And one thing I'll mention, which was just fun, is we were able to introduce Halloween to the Afghan kids. And this idea that you could just wander the streets, go up to people's houses, ring the bell, and demand candy and receive candy was one of the happiest I've seen them. They thought it was so great that one of the little kids, the first piece of candy he got, he just sat down right on the front step in the middle of everyone. There's, other kids trying to get up and down, and he sat down and he unwrapped his candy and ate it right then and there. He was not waiting for later. So being with people and being involved in direct action, setting up a new apartment for a family that's just arrived, or whatever the case may be, it's been um, a way that's always brings more to me than I put in.
Sally, Jenny, anything?
Well, Catherine, you kind of answered my question. I was going to say, as much as this Red Dot has been around for a while, I mean, so is my company. Elsa and I started our companies together. So, I mean, this idea that we are very much still a working board, even though we're more than 10 years old. So, but you kind of answered that question in terms of how hands-on you've been in your own roles and such. But maybe quickly just wondered in your the different kind of boards you've been part of, is there kind of a lesson learned that you'd want to be sure that we avoid a pitfall or something as a board?
Well, one of the lessons I've learned through my time, both in government and my time in other sometimes unrelated activities. For example, I was in a gospel choir for 10 years here in DC, the Metropolitan Police Department Gospel Choir. And one thing I've learned is how important it is to think about succession planning, and how important it is to mentor people into new roles. And I would want to learn as a board member from those who've been on the board for longer, and to have mentorship of me into how to be the best board member I could be, but then also to serve as a mentor potentially for members of Red Dot or other, in different management roles, things that I could do as appropriate, because an organization that has had such a strong, wonderful founder, it can't just always expect that things will always be done the same way, and that new ideas, you don't want it to stagnate, and you want to have a plan for bringing on new people and new ideas. So I think it's a balance. You don't want to lose what you've created that makes it unique to begin with, and what makes it special. And at the same time, you've got to find a way to keep it alive so that it continues on beyond one individual or one group of individuals. And that's something that I've seen both in good ways in government and in nonprofits, and in bad ways. My choir, unfortunately, does not exist anymore. As new people came in, the message was, when they had ideas, no, that's how we've always done it. We don't want these new ideas. There wasn't a sense of bringing in new people and giving them leadership roles, nurturing them into running it. And then as the leadership got much older and retired, there just wasn't the kind of energy and the kind of focus and what needed to happen, and the choir no longer exists, sadly. I mean, I still see my choir members, and we still get together for every so often, but it didn't last, because there wasn't that really intentional effort to make sure that there are people coming on board all the time to help it last.
That's such an interesting point because we have never done that. And I guess, I think our board journey also is evolving in Red Dot Foundation. Like it's like now we are trying to put in place structures. You're actually the first of this interview process. And so we are learning as we are growing, but this is a great point to actually implement. Jenny, anything?
Well, Sally kind of took my question, but I was going to ask about any prior board experiences Other than the choir, if you've been on any other boards and in any other anything else that you bring to this board, or what else motivates you to be on this board?
Thank you. So I have not had a formal board position in other organizations. The choir, I actually helped them to attain nonprofit status, a 501c3 status, and work with them in that capacity. With the Afghan refugee response, it's part of a ministry that my church does. So, and I am a leader in that. And so I wouldn't say it's not a formal board of directors because it's one of the ministries of the church, but I play a formal role in leading and directing those activities. And then at the FBI, of course, it wasn't a formal board, but the FBI's structure for internal compliance risk was a series of meetings that were not dissimilar to board meetings. In particular, with the director of the FBI, twice a year, we had the Integrity and Compliance Council. And essentially, it is the entire top brass of the FBI coming together, led by the director of Integrity and Compliance. And of course, the director of the FBI was making the decisions. I was there to facilitate and make sure that all the issues were clearly and transparently laid out, and to set up decisions so that ultimately the director could decide what he wanted to do, which risks he wanted to prioritize over others. But there was a lot of influence that I played in that role. So that, again, it wasn't a formal, wasn't considered a board, but it certainly was a council that I served on, and that it was very formal in its functioning, and it operated through a series of meetings wherein you would start with the lower levels of the organization to identify issues and have them percolate up and keep percolating up until you got up to the director level. And that is a methodology that I think can apply both at an organization like the FBI and potentially at one like Red Dot, where you have a dispersed mission set, and you have people in different countries doing different work, but you want to gather information from them around what they're seeing, and then have that percolate up. So I think that even though that wasn't a particular board position, I think it's analogous. I also served on evaluation committees for the Council of Europe. So the Council of Europe has a process. It's called Greco, the Group of States Against Corruption. And the way that works is the member states subject themselves to various evaluations. And so I was the US representative to evaluations of public corruption in various countries, including in the police, primarily focused on law enforcement, in and upper echelons of government in the Republic of Ireland, the Republic of Georgia. And I was out in Andorra doing a review, and so in that sense, we were like a board, not exactly the same, but there was a group of five, four independent evaluators and one staff member from Greco, who came together to analyze how the country was doing with regard to anti-corruption and law enforcement and high-level political appointees. And then we would issue reports about those activities, and then follow up with a compliance. And I handled when the U.S. was being evaluated, then I was on the other side of the of the table, representing the United States to a Greco evaluation team. So those are all activities I would say that are analogous to the kinds of things I would do on the board.
And Catherine, I think that Council of Europe is so interesting because under the Brave movement, we have some of our members working with the Lanzarote Commission on specific legislation for prevention of sexual and gender-based violence. And whilst we have never really directly engaged, I think there are certain areas where we could influence So whilst, Jillian's at the various NGO committees at the UN, but I think the Council of Europe is a really interesting place, which I'd never earlier thought about, and I don't know how to still engage over there. But, we could think of in future, do we want to do something? Especially because going forward, we are positioning Safe City as essential civic infrastructure. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, could it be possible that we get it through, the city governments and influencing at that level, like here we have a tool and a platform where you can have data, and that data is unique. It's not coming to you directly, but how can we, use this for admin? And yesterday I went to see this lady who's the managing director of the bank of the Council of Europe. So their version of the World Bank, but it's only
Mhm.
for European cities and municipalities.
Hmm.
And she wants to put me in front of several municipalities who get loans from these banks. So one is the city of Barcelona, one is the city of Genoa. And I think it's really interesting because I did not know about these opportunities, So
Mhm.
as we grow and scale the organization, I think these are some of the areas that are emerging. And of course, your experience at the Council of Europe would be very handy.
That's great. Yeah, I would love to assist with that. I would say also that in the current environment, Europe is still, and my experience there is that there's still a willingness to talk about gender specifically issues that may be confronting women versus men, and some of the current restrictions that we have in dealing with the U.S. government around how we frame things that's not the case when you're dealing with Europeans at the present time. So there's at this moment there's a lot of openness to continue discussing those issues.
Yeah, but when you do projects, so she was telling me, Tanya was telling me that when you do projects directly with the EU, it's heavy compliance,
Yes,
But she's
absolutely.
trying to also identify easy wins right now where we don't have so much of paperwork, but we can get into the system and start working. So
Mhm.
let's see how it all pans out here. I have no more questions for you.
Anybody else have questions? Okay. Catherine, thanks for being here for this, and thanks for answering all the questions and sharing some really great things that don't ever come on the four corners of the paper. So
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you sharing all of that. And we will ask that you excuse yourself off so
I
we
will.
can move forward. And then thank you so much again. And thanks for hosting Saturday. I know that Nina Jankowicz wanted to be there, but she was in Cambridge with me instead.
I
Well,
met her
So we did
it's
briefly in
speak
divide and
about it.
conquer sometimes.
But
Sometimes you have to divide and conquer. You
exactly,
can't all be in the same place.
exactly.
Yes. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So true. Well, thank you
Thank
again.
you. Bye bye.
Bye, Catherine.
Bye. Okay. I am, all right. I thought that went well. Does anybody else have any thoughts they would like to share before we move on to having an official motion and a vote?
Not from me.
Okay. I don't see Sally or Jenny popping up, and I don't have anything further. So I would like to make a motion that we have a vote on Catherine Bruno becoming a board member for Red Dot Foundation Global.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor with Catherine joining the board, please say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Not seeing any. Any abstentions? Okay. So the motion passes, and we are now delighted to be adding Catherine Bruno to the board of Red Dot Foundation Global. And Elsa, would you be so kind as to make the official notification to Catherine? We should also generate a letter to her, since she was good enough to generate documentation to us, that I will happily sign as the board chair. And then
Sure.
we can have a formal record of that. In
Great.
fact, we could
I'll
have
do that.
everybody sign it. We do it in do it in docs, and then everybody can sign off on it as we would with any other official transaction.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you. I just wanted to ask Jenny
Okay.
before we end. I mean, I think Catherine's thing is done. I'll send the letter. And if you want to add anything, also please feel free. But Jenny, anything for the taxes that we should be aware of? Because I know the deadline is round the corner. Or do you have everything you need? Or
Oh, well, I filed the last tax return, so we're done with that
Right.
one. The next return, we got a whole year on that one. So
okay, great.
Right.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
I
everyone.
guess I have your
Okay.
tax return to do. Your return is due in June, so
Okay.
I'll work on that one after this April deadline.
Okay. Thank you. So
Okay.
thanks
All
everyone.
right.
I have a flight later today to catch, so I still have to pack and everything. But Simon, I'll catch up with you later to see when can we meet. I'm in your town, so yeah. Okay,
I'm
take
here
care.
for once, which is nice.
So let's have a motion. Let's have a motion to close the meeting and a second, please.
Yeah,
I motion to close the meeting.
Okay. I'll
I
second
seconded
it.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Good. All right.
Bye.
Great to see
Have
Safe
fun.
everybody.
travels.
Yeah,
Take
safe
Travels.
care.
travels,
Thanks. Same
everyone.
to you.
Bye.